Hello everyone. From today we are going to discuss UGC paper 1 teaching aptitude, and this is my first video on teaching aptitude, and the first topic teaching concept and objectives, levels of teaching. You know that memory, understanding and reflective level, and characteristics and basic requirement. So guys, first of all we have to know the detailed syllabus of UGC, and according to this syllabus we have to deal with the matter, and I include some question with the video so that you can answer and get the detailed objective of the lesson. So first we have to understand what is the concept behind teaching. You know that teaching is a multi-phased process that involves imparting knowledge. So look at the keyword. You have to underline or make sure in your notebook that this imparting knowledge. Where is my cursor? Just 1 minute. Yeah. So imparting knowledge is the keyword. You have to understand that teaching, the main objective of the teaching is the imparting knowledge, skill and attitude to the learners. Okay, so we know that the learners are the very important elements of teaching learning process, and we have to impart our knowledge to the learner, and it can be skill, it can be attitude also. So we have to understand these certain keywords to deal with the questions from the paper. Now, purposive or purposeful direction. So we know that teaching is a purposeful direction. We have certain purpose behind the teaching. That's why we do teach, or that's the reason we have to understand that this is the purposeful direction. And changing the behavior, the main goal of teaching can also be change the behavior of the student. So we have to change the behavior of the student. That's why we do teach. Okay, transactional activity, and teaching includes a kind of activity that is transactional in nature. Transactional means it can be from one person to another and another person to the one at the same time. It can be dynamic approach. Dynamic means change through activity. When you do activity and your knowledge, your behavior will be changed after those certain activities. That's why it is called dynamic. And now teaching implies learning. This is very important. Many questions will come from this small phrase only. So teaching implies learning. It means the learning can occur without teaching. So learning can be without teaching, but teaching cannot be without learning. So this phrase very important for your upcoming questions from this concept. And powerful instruction. We know that teaching is a very powerful instruction, and that's why we change the behavior of the students. Okay, so these are the keywords, and this is the definition or concept behind teaching. We have to understand to deal with all the questions. Now, first MCQ: all teaching should aim at ensuring learning. Okay, so this is the assertion, and reason is all learning result from teaching. Okay, so you know that reason all learning results from teaching, it is totally wrong, because we know that learning can be possible without teaching. We can experience something without teaching. We can get knowledge from any other sources without teaching. So this can be possible. That's why reason is wrong. So only one option where reason is wrong, that is the C. So obviously our answer will be C. It's very important concept. Now, for encouraging learning to learn, the emphasis on which one of the following would be most appropriate. Now, read the 4 points. Option: use of educational technology gadgets, organizing teaching to increase opportunity for transfer of learning, assigning tasks to be mastered by students, frequent tests to be conducted. We know that learning to learn, this phrase encourage, not this option will not be first option, use of educational technology gadget. Okay, so learning to learn, there is no direct connection with the option A, use of educational technological or technology gadget. For C, assigning tasks to be mastered by students, it should not be. Assign tasks to be mastered by the students, it does not depend on the student, whether student is mastered or not on the certain direction. Okay, so option C also cancelled. D, frequent tests to be conducted. To get learning to learn, it is not necessary to be conducted frequent tests. Okay, so our option, organizing teaching to increase opportunity for transfer of learning, this information, transfer of learning, will be appropriate for the question. Okay, so option number B will be the correct answer. Now another research reason, all teaching implies learning. We know that all teaching implies learning, it is very correct. A reason, learning to be useful must be derived from teaching. Okay, so it is must be. The previous question is also like this question. So must word is giving us a negative meaning here. Learning must not be derived from teaching. Learning can also be derived from teaching. We know that. So must word is not necessary over here. That's why option C will be the correct answer. Now dynamic approach. Okay, so teaching approach, dynamic approach to teaching means, option A, teaching should be forceful and effective. Forceful is the negative word, so we have to eliminate. Teachers should be energetic and dynamic. This option is somehow correct, but here should be. Okay, so always should not be energetic. Somehow it is right, but more appropriate answer will be next. The topics of teaching should be this option also not be correct. The topics of teaching should be static but dynamic. Okay, should not be static but dynamic. Obviously this is also correct, but not as correct as the fourth one. The students should be required to learn through activities. We know the definition of dynamic approach in the previous slide, that dynamic approach means we learn through activities. We change our mind, we change our behavior through activities. It is the dynamic approach of teaching. Now we have to understand what are the objectives of teaching. Okay, these 11 points are very important for our questions to solve the objectives of teaching. Now first, knowledge acquisition will be the main objective of the teaching. Skill development is also. Attitude and value formation, we have to make our value and attitude correct through our teaching. Critical thinking, obviously it will be very good, and problem solving is the main motto of the teaching. Application of knowledge will be, and creativity and innovation also can be the objective of teaching. Effective communication, we know that without effective communication we cannot make our class interesting. That's why it is the objective of teaching. Emotional development, emotional social development is also a part of teaching objective. Adaptability and resilience, it means that adapt to change and overcome the challenges. Okay, we have to overcome the challenges what we face in our daily life or in our student career. Okay, so these are the objectives of teaching. Another two, understanding the development. Okay, so what we are facing the development, we have to understand the development, we have to consider or comprehend the development, and change in behavior is also a part of teaching objective. Okay, so these are the various objectives of teaching, and we have to check whether all those criteria or objectives of teaching can be asked in exam or not. Now look at the questions. The main objective of teaching at higher education level. Okay, look at the phrase higher education level. So we have to take the objective of teaching at the point of higher education, okay, not in the point of the primary or secondary level. So first option, to prepare students to pass the exam, okay, it is very silly option, that's why it is wrong. To develop the capacity to take decision, obviously decision making is the key factor of higher education level, that's why it will be the right option. And to give new information, it is somehow new, somehow correct, but giving information is not a part of higher education. To motivate students to ask question during lecture, okay, so it can be, but it's not as broad as this one, take decision, okay. So option B will be the correct. Now second question from objectives, learning objectives means, okay, so learning objectives means learning experiences, concise outcomes, academic achievements, intended learning outcomes. Obviously D option will be correct. You know that our main objectives of teaching to intended learning outcomes, uh, what we give in the teaching, uh, whether we are getting all the outcomes or not, it will be the main objectives of the teaching. Now levels of teaching, okay, so we know that memory, understanding and reflective levels, 3 levels are teaching, okay. So memory level, the main intention of memory level will be to facilitate the acquisition and retention of factual knowledge, okay. So look at the keyword factual knowledge, okay, retention, you have to memorize, okay. So rote learning, repetition, memorization, these are the keywords you have to understand for the memory level of teaching, okay. Now understanding level, okay, as the name suggests, understanding means you are comprehending, you are able to explain or interpret, okay. So to develop comprehension and ability to interpret and explain concept, okay. So this is the understanding level. Now reflective level, okay. Now to encourage higher order of thinking, critical thinking and problem solving, these are the key words for reflective level, okay. And now we have to check whether we are getting the knowledge of levels of teaching or not. Now look at the question, levels of teaching to emphasize in memory level teaching is on which of the following, okay. So memory level of teaching, now we have to select the option, organization of thoughts and ideas, okay, it can be obviously organization of thoughts and ideas, it means factual knowledge, okay. So it can be seeing of relationship among facts, okay. But seeing of relationship, if you take the base of Bloom's taxonomy, seeing the relationship will be considered somehow to the understanding level of teaching. That's why seeing the relationship will not be correct. Systematic presentation to enable quick reproduction. Obviously, systematic presentation also can be part of our memory level. Critical thinking will not be, obviously it will be wrong. Mastery of concept sequencing of fact, obviously fact is there, that's why E is also correct. And segregating one feature from another, no, segregating one feature from another will be part of another level of teaching. And here we know that segregating means we have the knowledge, we have the thinking process to distinguish one from another. That's why segregating one feature from another is a matter of our thinking, and memory level does not take the thinking quality. That's why it will not be. So our answer will be ACE. Now the basic requirements of or for organizing teaching at reflexive level deal with, okay. So first option, systematic and sequential presentation of facts and information by the teacher, we already knew that it was for the memory level, that's why it will not be. Helping explore and explain problems and their solution by students, obviously this will be the root cause of reflective level of teaching, okay. Explore and explain, okay. problem. Where you can find problem related words, obviously this option will be the reflexive learning. Now translating and interpreting the facts will not be, okay. Giving concrete facts and action sequences by the teacher, it also not be part of reflective level of teaching. Now another very important topic, that is the characteristics of teaching. Okay, so what kind of characteristics we get in the teaching. First one is holistic means all round development. Okay, so through teaching we may wish to get the holistic development of the learners. Now second point will be collaborative. Okay, so teaching can be collaborative. Collaborative means when there will be a group, and all the members of the group, all the participants of the group must be able to share their ideas with other and must act with one another. Now structured means with planning and organizing. Okay, so we have the planning, syllabus or curriculum like that, and we will act like that. And communicative means clear and effectiveness will also be a character of teaching. Now adaptiveness. Okay, so where is my cursor? Just okay. Adaptive. Okay, so flexible to meet needs, it will be the adaptive. Adaptive means when you are very flexible to meet the needs, it is called adaptive. And interactive means when you interact with other people, it is a kind of interaction. It is also a part of teaching characteristic. Goal oriented, it is the first most priority of the teaching. Okay, goal oriented. Obviously it will be motivational. It means making the process curious and interesting. Suppose a teacher is giving the lecture in the front of a large number of students. There should be a curiousness and interesting point related to the teaching, so that student can be attracted to the teacher. Now reflective is another characteristic of teaching. Reflective means ongoing reflection and assessment. Teacher should evaluate the teaching quality as well as the students' performance. Now last option is ethical. The teaching or the teacher should be ethical. Okay, teacher is not able to give all those knowledge, those are not going to benefit the students. Okay, now take the example or exercise from the same part. Which of the following set of statements reflect the basic characteristic of teaching? Okay, so teaching is the same as training. It is not, obviously. Teaching is different from training. There is no difference between instruction and conditioning when we teach. Okay, so there is difference between instruction and conditioning when we teach. Okay, so obviously these two options will not be. Teaching is related to learning. Obviously teaching is related to learning. Okay, teaching is a task word, while learning is an achievement word. Okay, so it can be teaching is a task and learning means what we get from the teaching. Okay, so option C and B, obviously C and D, obviously. And teaching means giving information. Teaching does not mean giving information only. Teaching also can be a part of giving information, but teaching directly does not mean that only the giving information. So obviously option C and D will be the correct. Now which of the following indicates that teaching is a planned process? Eat and dash. We know that teaching is a planned process. It was also in my slide why teaching is structured. So is practice for the whole year? Obviously not. Follows a set of curriculum and syllabus? Obviously teaching is a structured process. That's why there should be a set of curriculum and syllabus. Obviously this option will be the correct. Is conducted by a yearly exam? Obviously not. Gets response after a certain time period? Okay, it is also not a correct option. Now, basic requirements. What are the basic requirements for teaching? First, let's talk about components of teaching. There should be 4 components for the recent data: teacher, student, curriculum, and environment. In the previous data, environment was not included, but in the modern teaching learning process, teacher, student, curriculum, as well as a good environment should be there. Otherwise, no teaching can be conducted. Okay. Now, elements of the teaching. So what are the basic features of the teacher should be there for teaching? First one, content knowledge. Teacher should know the content or the syllabus of the teaching. Quality of instruction. The quality of the instruction should be good, otherwise there will not be an effective teaching. Teaching climate. There should be a good climate, means environment of the teaching. Classroom management. The teacher should able to manage the class very effectively, otherwise no teaching will be there. Pedagogical analysis or knowledge. Pedagogical means you have to know the process how to teach the student. Okay, helping to explore and explain problem. Okay, so teacher should help the students to explore and explain the problem. It also be an element of teaching. Okay, now let's take the example. The basic requirements for organizing teaching at reflective level deal with. Okay, so I think this question will be in the previous one, so I have to make. Okay, so just 1 minute. Okay, so I think this is the mistake that I committed here. So basic requirements, this question will not be for basic requirements. Okay, so just try to remember that. Just 1 minute. Okay, just try to remember that there are 4 components of teaching: teacher, students, curriculum, and environment. Elements of teaching will be all those things, and there can be some question like that. Okay, so next class will be about learners characteristics of adolescents and adult learners. Academic, social, emotional, and cognitive individual difference also will be there. Okay, so stay tuned for the next class.